Hey everyone, Captain Amazing here, and today we are going to do a Grand Arena. So let's jump into it. I pre-recorded my Grand Arena because I didn't really have time, so I played it on my phone. So I am going to just talk over it real quick while we watch it. So on the north wall we have Jabba and Rey. The rest are pretty negligible. On the bottom, we do have a Leia, a DTMG, Malgus, Quadme, and a Luthen with Saw. So on the bottom, a little harder team. I did decide to go north first as far as to try to take on this Jabba with Nightsisters. And if I can do that, that saves my SLKR for other teams. As you can see here, like my Marin just died. She just got straight bodied and I lost. Like it's nothing. It just happens sometimes, I guess. Not the biggest of deals. Maybe I should. They did have potency on their cron, so maybe I should have put more tenacity on mine. But I do have issues with like health steal on them. Next, we're gonna go Quadme into Leia. I originally wanted to do SLKR into Leia, but wasn't able to do that. I did choose a cron that had 240% armor penetration, which is gonna help with my my Padawan Obi-Wan, so he can hit harder. And as you can see, they do have a thick cron here, so that is pretty concerning. But I decided this is the best thing that I have, and Padawan Obi-Wan can hit under protection, so I have a chance here. At this point, it's actually looking pretty scary. So my Leia is, I thought I was going to go down. Their Padawan Obi-Wan was stunned, so I'm just trying to do my best to take down Leia, and Drogon is just an absolute menace here. And luckily, I am able to take down Leia. At this point, Drogon still is an issue, and I'm really worried about my Quadme going down, which I still think it would be fine if she did die, but I don't want to lose the banners. So luckily, full banners here, which was pretty nice, honestly. Next, we have Bane against their Queen Amidala, and this is why I take mine on offense. There are ways to like bait out Queen Amidala or to bait out Bane, which is put Leia on the front wall and then Quadme on the back wall, and that may give you some options where your opponent may try to like Bane your Leia. Usually what I do here is I'll use first special into a basic or a second special into a basic into first special, and sometimes that just like kills them. Unfortunately this time I didn't, and I had to loop around, but luckily I did have that turn meter cron with Bane, and that made it super reliable. Next we have Inquisitors versus the Saw Luthen variant. So with the Grand Inquisitor cron, this is super reliable because as I'm killing everyone, I'm getting all those damage immunity buffs, and it just makes this super safe because I am going to just kill them like over and over and over. And even if he did keep respawning, like my team would be really safe. So that's a super reliable counter against Luthen. Works against the Mon Mothma variant as well. So this one did have the Piet cron, which I thought wasn't that good because they're losing out on a lot of the buffs for having full Imperial Remnant. So if you have the Piet cron, I definitely would not use it with DTMG. I felt like it didn't make much of a difference because I'm just doing AoEs. I kill Piet right off the bat, and I even used the revive AoE because I was just trying to kill Piet as fast as possible, just to make sure that just in case there's some other shenanigans, that it's not an issue. So and with one man down, I'm able to get to ult and then kill him really easy. So that was really easy on this part. This one was 100% overkill. I'm going JMK against Malgus. So I do have C ult right now, but I wasn't able to get it during lockout. So I would have much rather just use C here. But I decided to go with JMK because I did not think I would need him on the back. I have Leia, I have SLKR, I have a lot of Bo-Katan Mandalore, and I didn't foresee needing JMK for literally anything on that back wall. I don't know exactly. I didn't scout him, so I had no idea what was back there, but I wasn't really concerned that anything that could be an issue would be an issue. And as you can see, I'm saving Kat's insta-kill because I want to kill Darth Talon first so she doesn't have that revive, so I don't waste that insta-kill. So I'm just gonna kill Talon here, and then I can insta-kill Malgus. So that's why it took me a second to like loop around, if you're wondering why I didn't just kill Malgus right off the bat. It's because Talon would revive him, and I'm trying to avoid that. So yeah, so I have to wait till she was out of stealth, and then I can kill her. Next, we have on the back wall a Great Mother. So I decide to use the Darth Revan variant for this, which is like super cheap. This is probably the cheapest counter to Great Mothers. It doesn't really matter who they doom. Pretty much I'm just going to try to get that death mark on the Great Mothers, and then I'm gonna burn them down as fast as possible. I'm trying to save the stun or the buff removal to take off Morgan Elsbeth's taunt, but pretty much like that's it. You just get death mark on Great Mothers, kill her, and then the rest of the team just kind of like falls apart. So really easy counter. Highly recommend if you're looking for a cheap counter for Great Mothers. Next, I have to go, since my Nightsister counter failed, I'm gonna have to do my first order against Jabba, which is okay. I don't mind doing it. It's not that clean of banners. So if I'm gonna waste a GL or waste losing banners on a team, I would rather do Nightsisters. So I always try Nightsisters first, which usually it works. But here, all I'm doing is I'm stunning Kersantin, put buff immunity on him, stun him again to remove taunt, and then I go for Bush Leia as fast as I can to kill her, and then hopefully she doesn't kill my SLKR. I do have a first order, and I'm going to jump into ult here, like an early ult, because Leia's almost dead, and then once Leia's dead, there's no threat here. Like, I will win. It just, will I beat Jabba to his ult so that he doesn't eat my crew and take some of my banners. So once Leia's dead, like, there is no risk here, but it's just one of those things. So yeah, so I am happy overall with this counter because it can lose, believe it or not. Like, if Bush Leia just goes all in on SLKR, like, she can just kill him even in threes. So this isn't 100% counter, but it's pretty reliable. I like using the Nightsisters, even though it can cost some banners. So I do like this Cere Starkiller Terran Malicos, and I'm just using a Ufu's Kron here. The reason I'm doing this counter instead of just like the Mara Jade Palp variant is because I just don't need Cere Ufus somewhere else, and this, as you can see, is a much more reliable counter. It's just insanely good. It's actually the variant that has Ezrael, the Ezra Bridger Exile version. This is one of the most reliable counters for it. A lot of people on my defense lately have been going trying to use Starkiller and then trying to use Cere and then failing, and then having to throw some GLs at it and also failing. So I do like this counter a lot. So I think it's and that's why I used it. So now I'm pretty much in like overkill territory because I just have the back wall and some pretty much trash teams. So I have Ezra here, and they have a Ezra Bridger Exile with Qui-Gon. I think it would have been better for them to put Ezra Bridger on the Rey team instead of Old Ben, and then just threw another Galactic Republic Jedi here. But easy win for using Leia. Definitely an overkill, but it was probably the strongest team that he had on defense at that time. Next, we're going to go Iden with Wampa. So my Wampa is modded for health and tenacity, so I'm generally not at a risk of getting stunned here, and if you get stunned right off the bat, you can lose. They did not have Grit Cron. It was, I forgot what it was, but it was one of those weaker attack ones, so on their Cron, so it was not really an issue here. You just have to kind of ramp up, and then you will out ramp the ability for Iden to keep Shore Trooper alive, and then at that point, once Shore Trooper is dead, Iden goes down in like a hit or two. So there is some worry of like Iden killing Wampa. It's definitely possible. Not so much this variant. I do have a variant on defense where they have Grit Cron, and it's more of a timeout kind of situation than it is for making them kill Wampa. But I do think this counter can take some time. You just have to continue ramping. If they would have thrown Shore Trooper in there, I still would have used this counter, and I don't think it would be much of an issue. You just have to time out your Wamp so that you take off days. But yeah, that was a nice 59 banners. So here we have Rex 5s. I'm going to use Malgus with Marauder and Sith Assassin. So I do like having Malgus and Darth Revan on offense, because it allows me to beat pretty much two A-ish, S-tier-ish teams with Rex 5s and Great Mothers just for those two. I think that's excellent value here. So I'm just Malgus, you just pretty much have to like dunk them, and with these unique on Captain Rex, it does make them kind of survivable once they hit under 50%, but you just have to time out a dunking correctly, and you'll kill 5s. Rex is a lot easier to take out. Luckily, Malgus's taunt has been up for all of Rex's big Rexalates, so that hasn't really been an issue. And with the Omicron on his first special and Sith Assassin, I'm able to kind of juice up Malgus a lot faster. He is dazed a lot of this, so that's affecting how fast I'm cycling through. But normally this team works really well because Sith Assassin pumps turn meter, and then Malgus's first special also pumps turn meter, and that allows me to cycle through his dunking as fast as possible. Unfortunately, I don't know if I was blinded or if I just missed on that dunking for Malgus, but I missed. Not a big deal. It's just a matter of time. He's also shocked, so he can't heal right here. So, you know, just one of those things. Pretty easy. Next, we're going to go Savage lead against these Gungans. And without Jar Jar, there's literally nothing this team can do. It is the farthest from being a danger. Like, I had absolutely no issues with this team. Honestly, it's even with the Jar Jar, it's super reliable with Savage lead. So I do like this. Even without Jar Jar, I can do the insta kill even with the shield generator there. But I isolated the phalanx, so I'm able to just go straight on the generator. So whenever Savage is crit, he gets tons of turn meter, and then he takes off the stacks really quick. I do have the offense ramping cron on Savage, so every time he's getting those turns, he's actually gaining 10% offense. So he's ramping. He ramps actually quite beautifully, and I don't know if you know this, but his damage is just going up and up and up and up. Pretty much he can solo a C if you need him to solo with that. Alright, so next I have Tuskens. There's a bunch of other things I probably could have done, like bounty hunters, but I have Jedi here, so I decided to use them. I was looking at the lead, just making sure, because it's been so long since I used Jedi Knight Revan lead, making sure there's no like turn meter mechanics there. So they do have they do have damage immunity right off the bat, which doesn't matter because I have dispels on Jedi Knight Luke and Jedi Knight Cal Kestis. So at this point, I just have to loop around for the targeting on Jedi Knight Revan to kill the Chieftain too. And this is just a really strong team. The only threat here is the danger of timing out. And as you can see, they almost kill Revan there, which was actually like pretty surprising that those Tusken Raiders were hitting so hard. So at this point, the secret to not timing out, and I didn't even get to use the insta kill on Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, but the secret to not timing out on this is you have to kill them at the same time. And the Tusken Raider, for some reason, has a lot less health than the summon. Maybe I hit him when he had protection up or something, but he was dying pretty quickly here. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get both their health somewhat low, like into the yellow or the red, and then I'm going to use Jedi Knight Cal Kestis to do his first special, the Whirlwind Slam, and then from there I can possibly kill them both. And as you can see on that one, it was so close that he ended up not dying. So I'm just have to kind of loop around, keep killing this raider until they're both fairly low health. And yeah, it does get a little annoying to line it up, so you just have to kind of work them both at the same time. I'm constantly cycling through, and then the raider has like I said, the most health, so I'm trying to balance them both here, and then luckily didn't kill him there, was able to get both of them dead at the same time right there, and just have to line it up perfectly. All right, so next I have this Dash Hondo team, and I decided to use Bow Mando because there's really nothing else there. So I'm gonna kill Hondo right off the bat. So he's the only threat if he ends up isolating someone or ramping, which didn't really happen because he died instantly since he didn't have any stacks, so he didn't have any evasion. Next, I'm going to kill Vandor, because if you don't kill Vandor, then Dash will keep reviving because he's has the prepared Omicron. And easy win. I did lose some banners there, but it kind of is what it is. Next, I'm going to use my R7 no Zeta R7 no Zeta gas with JML and Hoda, and this is pretty easy. You just kill Enoch, and then I'm just gonna kill the rest. I do have to kill Night Trooper a bunch of times so that he gets his his blight stack so he can finally die. But essentially I'm just going to continue killing him over and over until he stops reviving is the goal here. I guess I could have used like a gas lead if I really wanted to, because this team's really overpowered, but I decided to use JML lead just because it's better for me. And that's the end of the ground. Pretty clean. Next we have fleets. So this is an Executrix counter against the Sith. So I've seen this done with a few different things. I've seen it done with Endurance. I've seen it done with Chimera. And then it's pretty universal because it has the survivability of Leviathan, just not the offensive capability, which means that Profundity is going to beat it really easy because there's nothing that stops Profundity from getting the ult, and it may be survivable, but once we get to ult, then it's just going to die. So that's why I decided to use Profundity here, is because it's honestly no threat. It's just like a guaranteed win of killing this team. So I'm going to go ahead and just generate ult as fast as I can, and I should be able to do that here shortly. While there you go, ult, and then once I get into ult, then the rest are going to die really easy. So this is a good defensive fleet, especially if you don't have Leviathan and you don't need the Executrix counter for anything. So excuse me. So I don't think it's a bad thing to place. It's just I had the counter for it. Next, we're gonna go the Negotiator into the Raddus. So this counter isn't like, can go wrong. Like I don't know. They went straight after my Anakin, and if you let Rey's Millennium Falcon get a bunch of buffs and then she does her big AoE, she can do a ton of damage. So as you can see there, it can be concerning, but essentially I'm not too worried at this point because I took out their bomber, their tank. They probably will still reinforce with the comeuppance at this point, but I am, as long as you take out the majority of the fleet, then it's not really going to be an issue. So at that point I checked, like for some reason I got a weird notification. I was just making sure that my phone was still recording, but not like once you have to kill the rest of the ships before you can target comeuppance, then AoE die like 72 pretty clean, even though I don't have the Marauder with that fleet. All right, so I decided to use the Executrix counter against the Executor. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. So I do my best to try to beat this, and it does seem like they're killing my scythe way too quick, and I just didn't have any foresight there to force the taunt, and I don't know how I can keep the scythe alive to make it more reliable, because once the scythe is dead and they bring out the Houndstooth, it's really hard for me to work through the Houndstooth, and it makes it an issue with killing the fleet in a timely fashion, because I'm just not getting through the Houndstooth fast enough without the scythe. So I think I don't know specifically what I'm doing wrong. So if you do see something here, or you saw something in my counter where you're like, you did this instead of that, let me know. I am genuinely interested to see what I can do better with this counter, because I just don't get to practice it very often. So I would love to learn more about this counter to see what I'm doing wrong. But as you can see, like my R5 defender isn't like, and I do think it's just I'm having bad luck with buff immunity, because every time I land buff immunity on the Houndstooth, like he ends up attacking and then cleansing it, where if I would have like buff immunity and then a round of turns, I would be able to like kill the Houndstooth quicker, and then that would have saved this counter, because by the time I killed the Houndstooth, then it's pretty much too late. I get ulted and they kill my ships that aren't summons, and I die. So still not bad as far as like making it a two-shot, because I do come in here with the Finalizer counter, and that makes it a lot more reliable. So not the worst thing in the world. I would just prefer to have it cleaner, right? Like I do want to be able to one-shot this, and every time it ends up being a two-shot. So you know, not the worst thing in the world, because it's just the Executrix and the Finalizer. And even I've been able to counter FU fleets with Profundity, Leviathan, and Executor with Punishing One on defense. So at least I'm able to do that. It's just not as clean as I would want it to. And if I could get this down to a one-shot, that would make my life a lot easier in the fleet meta. But this fleet meta is annoying, especially considering that I leave my Leviathan and Executor on defense. So and I only really take the Profundity on offense. So all in all, not bad. So let's go ahead and show you what happened as the end result of that Grand Arena. So it was pretty clean. I did win, so I'll show you my first one too as well. So that's my next opponent, which I will do tomorrow. So 2031 to 164 So pretty clean on the ground. The only thing I dropped was against that Jabba because I tried that Nightsisters in the beginning. And then I dropped one battle on the Executor with not getting that one shot with Executrix. So on the north, he somehow dropped against my General Grievous, which I'm assuming he probably tried Wampa. And if you try Wampa against this variant, there's a chance that IG-11 will put Tenacity down on the wrong time, and then General Grievous can stun him and then just kind of like work them down. So that's why that team is there, is because it's just a possibility for Wampa to fail. So maybe that's what happened. And then on the south wall, he took out my Zori, took out my Qui-Gon, but then he couldn't get through my Rey, Ben, Ezra Bridger that held 6 times. And from there, I'm assuming that was like his 6 best characters, and he just kind of like gave up from there. So he attacked before I did, failed 6 times on this, and then kind of gave up. So kind of is what it is, right? So on the first round, because I didn't stream that, I did end up winning this too. I did record it on my phone and was planning on doing this, but my phone data was full, so I ended up not being able to to stream it. So yeah, so I won this one cleanly. It was Leia on the top, a Rey, and a Great Mothers. On the bottom, he had Lord Vader, Zori, JMK, Quadme, and Jabba. And then on the back, we had not too much. So just a Reva, Iden, Beck, and a Qui-Gon Omicron. So got through that pretty cleanly. This was the FU fleet, so it was Profundity, Executor, Leviathan. So I Profunditied the Leviathan, and then I had to 3-shot the rest because my Malevolence counter didn't. It did kill a few of the things, like it killed all these, but the Millennium Falcon, Phantom, and Ghost survived. So this one I had to clean up. And on the second one, for the Executor, I tried the Executrix counter again. Was able to do, or not the Executor. I did the preload. So I preloaded with, or burnered them. So I burnered them with the Endurance and some trash ships, and then came in with my Finalizer, and then I had to clean up like, I think it was like 2 characters, and then that was pretty easy for in itself. So it was messy, 3 and 3 drops on there, but luckily he just wasn't able to get through my Leviathan and my Executor because he puts all his meta ships on defense. He just didn't have the juice to get through my fleets, and I held. So on the ground, he won really cleanly. Like he didn't drop a single battle on the ground. So if he would have just cleared the Executor, like just cleared it, he would have won. Any amount of banners would have won if he would have full cleared me. So yeah, luckily he didn't, and I got those 2 holds. So yeah, next round 3 will be the championship round. I'm climbing up there. I'll probably be 35, or if I win this one, I'll be like 3,500, which is the highest I've been in a very long time since the squish. But I've been having some very good rounds. Like the first week I went 2-1. This time I'm 2 and possibly 1 or maybe 3-0, depending how that championship round goes. So yeah, I've been doing very well in Grand Arena since for this last 3v3 season. So yeah, I'll see you all next time. Take care.